You have to come back. And look, is this Howard here? I don't think she's here. I'm going to read about. We want to recognize someone who, even though they're not here tonight, I want to recognize Kim Howard for character education. She's an English teacher at Fike High School, and we want to celebrate her sense of responsibility. We know that anyone who's spending time with Miss Howard knows that her heart beats for students. She's thinking of ways all the time to inspire them and to make their high school experience relevant and meaningful. This year, she wanted to show students how much their voices mattered. She organized 2 events called Let's Talk, Let's Listen, where students rotated to tables to have discussions with local leaders who included members of law enforcement, myself, other members of senior staff, principals, local ministers, Harlem Globetrotter Anthony Atkinson, and business leaders. I think it was an excellent event for those of you who had a chance to see it. The discussion topics varied from the true meaning of success, the importance of education, how to effectively communicate as a teenager, and barriers related to stereotypes, race, and gender. We really appreciate her leadership in making that happen and determination to show students that their opinions are valued. It was a great event both times, and I'm sure she'll be here if she could. I see Mr. St. Clair's in her stead tonight to show support. So a round of applause, even though she's not here for Ms. Howard. And that concludes our good news.
All right, thank you. And to each of our counselor students, we appreciate all of the work that you did in facilitating for our students, and for those that are leaving us, we wish you the best. For those who are remaining or coming, we welcome you and look forward to your service over the next couple of years. Thank you. Under the chairman's report, first of all, I extend hearty congratulations to all of the graduates of our 3 traditional high schools who experienced their graduation on this past Saturday. It was an exciting time, not only for the students and their families, but for those of us who were able to attend. Had a little hiccup at Fike at one point, but it got fixed, and the gym was air conditioned and conditions were much better for our graduates and their families. We thank Grant Robinson and the students from the broadcast program at Hunt for their service at all 3 of the high school graduations. And with the help of Greenlight, having run fiber cable to each of our high schools, for the first time our graduations were broadcast live. So with the help of that program, it has done what we were anticipating it doing. The students are to be commended for the professionalism that they have shown in getting our meetings and other programs on air. Secondly, I'd like to congratulate Crystal Cox at Watt, who was named our Principal of the Year, and Leanne Orr of Elm City Middle, who was named our Teacher of the Year. But we also thank WEP, Wells Fargo, the Vesta Group, and Barton for the contributions that they made to help make that event a successful evening. We also at that event gave certificates to our beginner teacher who had completed a course of program and study in mentorship at that banquet and event. We wish all of our teachers, our students, and staff a restful and enjoyable summer vacation, and hope that they are ready and willing and able and eager to go when we come back for the fall semester, and for the work that will be done with the reading program over the summer. And to everyone, we hope that they have a wonderful summer. And that concludes the chairman's report, so I'll turn it over to Dr. Mills for his superintendent's report.
Madam Chair, board members, I'll piggyback really briefly on Dr. Fitch's notes. We had our graduation this past Saturday, and it was wonderful. It was also nice to note the air conditioning in the gyms. That was wonderful. Thank you, County Commissioners, for that. Even though we tried to have a breaker problem for Fike's gym, the maintenance folks got that turned around, so we're thankful for that, and the folks that were in there. We had a strong ending to the 17-18 school year. I want to thank all of our teachers and staff and students for all the things they did this year to make this year successful. we hope that everyone has a great and relaxing summer. The start of the school year will be here before we know it. It always seems to sneak up on us really quickly. I think it's even more so this year with all the things we have planned. We also had our evening excellence banquet, and Dr. Fitch mentioned we recognize beginning teachers, and we're excited for Crystal Cox for our principal of the year and Leanne Orr for our teacher of the year, and the support of our partners. That was a really nice event. I think they were both completely caught off guard, and it was a good time. A couple upcoming events for your calendars and just for the general public. The retirement banquet is tomorrow night at 6 p.m. at Hardy Alumni Hall on the campus of Barton College. We're looking forward to celebrating our wonderful retirees and thanking them for their service to our students and our system. Make sure you RSVP if you'd like to attend. Just let Ms. Horson know. She'll make sure that's taken care of. And finally, one last upcoming event is parents and guardians of rising first graders are invited to attend a Spanish immersion interest meeting focused on what a day in first grade Spanish immersion is like on June 14th at 6 p.m. The meeting is being held at New Hope Elementary School, and parents should bring their rising first grader with them to the meeting. And Madam Chair, that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. We do not have anyone who has signed up to address the board, so we'll move directly into our committee reports, beginning with Administrative Services Committee. Mr. Mercer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We met at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and we had one information item and 6 action items, and we had good discussion. At this time, the discussion item was regarding contracts requiring board notification but not rising to the amount that would require board approval. And that was the Young Group, which provides student accident insurance, which is the same provider and approximately the same rate. And the Mason Borough Group, which Leadership Development provides it's the same provider at the same rate as last year. Do we have any discussion or questions or anything about Mills you'd like to add?
No, sir.
Hearing none, we'll go to the first action item, which is workman's compensation and employer's liability insurance contract. The two companies, or the two organizations placing bids was North Carolina School Board Trust and AmTrust. I think we've been with North Carolina School Board Trust the last year, or at least part of last year. And the bids this year come in quite a margin of difference. And the committee that worked with them recommended to the committee to go with AmTrust. And with it being a noticeable amount of difference in the bid, it was discussed and questioned at in the committee meeting, and it was determined that we get the same, if not a little higher, ceiling as far as the amount that they will pay, and we save approximately $100,000 difference, but we get just as good and as reliable service. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
On behalf of the Administrative Services Committee, I move Wilson County Schools approve AmTrust as the workers' compensation and employers' liability insurance for Wilson County Schools employees as recommended by administration.
Second. It has been moved and properly seconded that the board approve the AmTrust group for the workers' compensation and employees' liability insurance for Wilson County Schools employees. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect the motion carries unanimous. Mr. Mercer?
Yes, ma'am. The second action item was 2017-18 budget amendments. Don't you make fun of me. And they were Budget Amendment 107 for the State Public School Fund. It represents changes made due to allotment revision forms received from DPI and budget alignments. Any comments or questions? Okay, Amendment 204, Current Expense Fund, reflects the budgeting of excess fines, forfeitures, interest received, and appropriated fund balance. Any questions, comments? Okay, Amendment 307, Federal Fund, represents the budgeting of various federal programs. Questions or comments? Amendment 404, Capital Outlay Fund, reflects the budgeting of interest received during the year. Comments or questions? Amendment 501, Child Nutrition Fund, represents the budgeting of excess revenues for catered supplements, donations received, interest, sale of surplus property, and USDA commodities. Questions, comments? Amendment 602, Trust and Agency Fund, reflects the budgeting of interest received. Questions, comments? Amendment 701, Before and After School Care Fund, represents the budgeting of ASCP registration fees, BSEP tuition and registration fees, daycare registration fees, and interest. Any questions or comments? Amendment 807, Local Special Revenue Fund, reflects the budgeting of various grants and programs. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
On behalf of the Administrative Services Committee, we recommend to the Wilson County School Board approval of amendments 107, 204, 307, 404, 501, 602, 701, and 807 as recommended by the administration.
Is that a recommendation or a motion, sir?
It's a motion.
Second. It has been moved and properly seconded that we approve budget amendments 107, 204, 307, 404, 501, 602, 701, and 807. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. Mr. Mercer?
Yes, ma'am. Our next action item is superintendent authorization to approve year-end budget amendments, which is an effort to allow those final adjustments, which I would suspect would be small, and be reported in July to the full board. Any comments or questions? Okay, on behalf of the Administrative Services Committee, I move the Wilson County Board authorize the superintendent to make the necessary adjustments to balance the budget June 30th, 2018.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the superintendent be authorized to approve year-end budget amendments through June 30th, 2018. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. Mr. Mercer?
Thank you. Our next action item was regarding the continuing budget resolution for 2018-19, which allows the superintendent to operate on this year's budget levels until the new budgets by the state has been approved. Any comments or questions? Okay, Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
on behalf of the Administrative Services Committee, I move that we approve the superintendent to expend funds at the 2017-18 budgeted level until the adoption of 2018 19 budget is approved.
Second. It has been moved and properly seconded that the superintendent be authorized to continue the budget at the 2017-18 years level until passage of the 2018-19 budget by the state. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. Mr. Mercer?
Yes, ma'am. The next action item was policy 2300, purchasing and contracts, which is the second reading. And I think this, as discussed last board meeting, is effort to meet federal guidelines. And there have been no changes since the first reading. Any discussion? Questions? Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
on behalf of the Administrative Services Committee, I move Wilson County Schools School Board approve policy 2300, purchasing and contracts as revised and as a second reading.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded that we approve policy 2300, purchasing and contracts as a second read. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. Mr. Mercer?
Yes, ma'am. Our next, and by the way, final action item is regarding policy 2315, conflict of interest as it relates to purchasing. And it's a second reading. This policy previously was covered under policy 3005, 4005, and 8305. Purchasing was added. Any questions or comments about it?
It's not just a comment that, just for clarity's sake, that the conflict of interest in this policy is strictly in relation to purchasing.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we already have a conflict of interest policy. So as to not to create any confusion in terms of conflict of interest, this is specifically in regard to purchasing.
Yes, ma'am. Any further comments, questions, or additions? Okay. Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
on behalf of the Administrative Services Committee, I move the Wilson County School Board approve policy 2315, conflict of interest in purchasing as revised and as a second reading.
Is there a second? Second. It has been moved and properly seconded that the board approve policy 2315, conflict of interest regarding purchasing as a second reading. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously.
That concludes our report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mercer. Members of the board, the Instructional Services Committee met this afternoon at 5 o'clock. And Mr. Mercer, I'm going to turn this over to you for the carrying, because I will be making a motion in regard to the Career Technical Education local plan. When we met this afternoon, we had a discussion of our plan, which is required by the state. We first had a recap of the CTE, or Career Technical Education Program, for this academic year. The updates and highlights were that we had 407 CTE concentrators that were tested for work keys. 256 of the CTE students earned career-ready status of silver or above. And while silver and above is considered career-ready, bronze and above all provide students a level of industry certification. There were 376 of these earned industry certifications at various levels. 33 were platinum certificates, 71 were gold certificates, 152 were silver certificates, and 120 were bronze certificates. These certifications were earned by juniors and seniors. Wilson County Schools offered 64 different CTE courses at the high school level and 15 at the middle school level. We offer 14 of the 16 state-recognized career clusters, including agriculture, food and natural resources, architecture and construction, arts, AV technology and communication, business management and administration, finance, health science, hospitality and tourism, human services, information technology, law, public safety, corrections and security, manufacturing, marketing, STEM, engineering and technology, transportation, distribution, and logistics. The only two that we do not offer are education or training or government and public administration, but we do provide opportunities in the education arena. At that meeting, there were several suggestions made by board members to the staff to explore for being able to add other areas and opportunities in government and public administration, as well as education and training. In 2017-18, CTE enrollments were 2,823 students at the middle school level and 5,117 at the high school level. 108 students participated in work-based learning placements this year, including internships and co-ops. Over 70 of our local employers agreed to work with our students, and at least 10 of our internship placements transitioned into paid positions for our students. 4 additional internships are scheduled to convert to paid now that school is out, so that 14 of our students who were doing internships have morphed into paid positions. We placed 11 students in our new teacher internship program, and these students spent 90 minutes a day for an entire semester observing and assisting in elementary or middle school classrooms. Each of these students expressed a desire to major in education in college, and of the 11 students who went into that internship program, 4 were awarded Pee Wee and Myrtle Owen scholarships, which means that these 4 students will come back to Wilson County Schools for employment once they have met their obligation. Each high school program provided booths for not only Wilson County Schools, but the Wilson Community College and career fairs held in the early springs. And there were National Technical Honor Society inductees. Bedingfield had 12 new members to add to the 25 that they already had in their honors program. Fike inducted 43 new members, which added to their existing 25. And Hunt inducted 21 new members, increasing their existing membership from 32. There were agricultural program highlights both at Bedingfield and at Hunt. We see that the number of members of FFA are steady at 40. They have had competitions in Federation truck driving, and our student placed first in the Federation and 25th in the state. They had a parliamentary procedure team, second in the Federation and 4th in the region. They have had students receive North Carolina FFA state degree in June, or will receive that at their FFA state convention coming up this summer. And that's the highest honor that a student can get when they're in the North Carolina FFA. One of the students in FFA program, a graduating senior, because of the courses that he took while in our programs, has started his own lawn care and landscape business. He got all of the fundamentals in chemicals and other areas, and has formed a limited liability corporation and is now in business for himself. There are Bedingfield is graduating 6 four-year members of the FFA, and a large group of the seniors have been involved since they were freshmen. At Hunt, they had 270 FFA members, and they have competed in various competitions, winning at various levels, first, second, third, fourth place, both at state, in their region and in state. And you have before you information about all of their competitions. Both Bedingfield and Hunt have shown animals at the local and state level, and Bedingfield and Hunt's FFA had successful plant sales in the fall, in the winter, in the spring, by selling mums, poinsettias, and spring plants. In the business and marketing highlights, Hunt's DECA, Distributive Education Clubs of America, has 69 members. Bedingfield's Future Business Leaders of America has 8 members. Hunt's Future Business Leaders of America has 18 members. And FIKE has 23 members in FBLA. There were over 500 students certified by Microsoft through its Microsoft IT Academy. And there are health science highlights where we've had 33 students at FIKE be certified in American Heart Association Basic Life Support. The certification of 65 students at Bedingfield in that same area, and the health science program at Bedingfield and FIKE, both who worked with the American Red Cross hosted blood drives. And 842 pints of blood were collected through those two efforts. At FIKE, there were 541 pints of blood collected, and at Bedingfield, 301. And we know that FIKE has had the distinction of having the largest blood drive on the East Coast hosted by high school students or high school programs. In trade and industry, there are 217 nationally recognized certifications that have been earned in public safety, and there are 41 students who successfully passed all units for the NCCER credentials for carpentry and construction. The plans and the focus for the 2018-19 year can basically be found in the plan that we are submitting to the state. Actually, the plan has already been submitted. It has already been approved by DPI, and so it awaits the action of this board with the signatures of both the superintendent and myself. You've had an opportunity. There were just a very couple of minor suggestions for change within the plan that is being submitted. And if you have no questions, or if you have any questions in regard to that plan, we will entertain them at this point in time. So, Mr. Vice Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
hearing no comments, I move on behalf of the Instructional Services Committee that we approve the 2018-19 Career Technical Education Local Plan.
Here, second. Second. It's been moved and properly seconded that we approve the Career Technical Education Local Plan of 2018-19. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? It's unanimous. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I assume that you're turning it back, sir. All right. Next on our agenda, under discussion and action item, it's Wilson Community College Board of Trustees appointment time. At the last board meeting, we asked for nominations for The names to be put forward, the name Kenneth Jones, whose term expires on June 30th, 2018, was put forward to the board, and you were asked if there were any other nominees that you wanted to be considered. If you would please bring them forward at this meeting. Is there any other name to be considered at this time? What is your pleasure then on the name of Kenneth Jones?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Mercer?
I move that we name Kenneth Jones as our representative with Wilson Community College.
Second.
Trustee.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the name Kenneth Jones be submitted to the Wilson Community College for its Board of Trustees appointment on behalf of the Wilson County Board of Education. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. We will send a letter to Mr. Jones as well as to Dr. Wright, notifying them of this appointment. I think at the bottom of your précis, it also indicated that we are going to ask for communication between the two boards so that we can get together so that information can be shared, and that will be expressed to Dr. Wright as well. Thank you.
Madam Chairman,
Mr. Farmer?
I move the Wilson County Board of Education go into closed session to consider confidential personnel matters as provided in North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A1 and 6 and 115C-319 through 321, and to consult with the Board of Education attorney and preserve the attorney-client privilege as provided in North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A3.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the Wilson County Board of Education go into closed session to consider confidential personnel matters as provided in North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A1 and 6 and 115C-319 through 321, and to consult with the Board of Education attorney and preserve the attorney-client privilege as provided in North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11A3. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned to closed session.